I am here with my friend Adam from Plugged In. Hello, Adam.
How are you doing, Andy?
I'm doing fine. A little bit of hay fever kicking in.
Yep,
The
me
crops
too.
are starting to bloom. We have something
Yep.
called rapeseed. I don't know if you have that. It's they use it and it grows and they make oil out of it for cooking. But it has these
Okay.
beautiful, really vibrant yellow flowers. It is the most glorious thing, and we have fields around us, many many fields. So it's
Yep.
yeah, lots of hay fever, but it's beautiful. But I don't like the hay fever. But the hay fever is kind of part and parcel of the beauty.
Well, you take the good with the bad, you
Always.
know, the roses, the thorns, etc. Yada yada.
No, totally. Right, so you provide us with all sorts of reviews from movies and
Yeah.
music, CDs, YouTube channels, and also videos, books, games, all manner of stuff. Where would you like to
Yeah.
start today?
Well, I thought we would do something a little bit different today. One of the things we like to do this time of year is kind of an overview very quickly of the big movies coming up for the summer and just sort of letting people know what's coming. If that sounds good to you, I can blast through that list pretty quickly, and then we can see if we can squeeze one or two other things in.
That sounds
But
very good
in
to
terms
me.
of what families are interested in, it seems like the movies really fall into two categories. We've got the big action blockbusters, which are almost all in the US rated PG-13. And then we've got a bunch of kids' movies. And they share some similarities. So for the action blockbusters coming up next week, we have Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which we'll talk about next week in all likelihood. Tom Cruise's supposed last run as Ethan Hunt, like last run literally, because he's always running, right? Or swimming, or jumping, or falling. It shocks me. The first Mission Impossible movie was in 1996. He has been making these movies almost 30 years, which really, it kind of blows my mind. And it makes me feel really old and tired and makes me wonder, he must have a really good chiropractor to be able to do those stunts. But I digress. As we push on a little bit later this summer, somebody apparently said, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we had Scarlett Johansson in a Jurassic Park movie? They called her up. She said, I would love to do that. And boom, wouldn't you know it? We have Jurassic World Rebirth, which is Scarlett Johansson playing a mercenary, tough, sort of guardian as a team of scientists goes to get blood from the most dangerous of the dangerous of the dangerousest dinosaurs. Because apparently we haven't seen the worst of the worst. They have to keep raising the stakes.
That can
So
only
that
end
comes
well.
out July 2nd. And then Superman comes out a week later. And this is the James Gunn DC Universe reboot. James Gunn, of course, did the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And the buzz on the street is he's trying to reboot this more in line with the traditional Superman character. So we shall see if that is the case or not. And then we have the Fantastic Four, the First Steps, which comes out in late July. Fantastic Four, of course, is sometimes called the first family of Marvel Comics. So we get these four heroes with powers that reflect things about their character. And they're going to encounter the Silver Surfer, which this time around is a female instead of a male, which the faithful have not been very happy about. But, keeping the Marvel nerd faithful happy is always a challenging, daunting kind of task. So, those are the big action movies that are coming out. And as for kids' movies, we've got Elio, which is a new Pixar movie about an 11-year-old boy who becomes an intergalactic ambassador to represent Earth. Lilo and Stitch was a popular animated movie about 25 years ago, and now there's a live action version because, we have no new ideas. Also, in the no new ideas, but actually admittedly looks pretty good, is How to Train Your Dragon, the live action version. The Smurfs are reloading again, this time with Rihanna as Smurfette instead of Katy Perry. You got to mix it up a little bit. And then Freakier Friday, wherein Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan swap spirits or souls or, personalities again. This is the eighth one of these since 1976. So I'm done with Freaky Friday, and apparently Hollywood is done with ideas. But as we get to each of those lovely movies, we will tell you all about them throughout the summer.
We did watch the most recent Lion King film,
Yeah,
and
what'd you think?
very mixed
Yeah,
thoughts. Unlike the original, the bad lion, a
yes,
tiger, definitely gets killed. Whereas, of course, in the
right,
original, you're thinking, well, is he run off? Is he actually dead?
right.
So that was nice to get clarity and closure on the tiger is gone. The graphics are, they're sublime. They're brilliant. Not enough humor was my thought. Scarlett Johansson
Yeah,
obviously playing the snake. I missed the humor of the original Snake, which
yep.
it somehow brought to life the film in a way that I think was lacking. But it was a good film. We enjoyed watching it and we'll happily watching it again. But as you say, can you not create something new? Is all we've
Right,
got left. I mean, How to Train Your Dragon. We love that as a family. We've got all the DVDs of the TV
yep,
series and all the films. It's brilliant. But do we need to watch what we've already watched again, but watched it
right.
slightly different from the first, although it's the same, but not quite, but it isn't?
Yes. Well, Hollywood says the answer is yes, you do.
Well,
So
what do I
stop
know?
complaining and eat your, you can't, how can you have your pudding if you don't eat your meat, or whatever the line is from
Yeah.
the Pink Floyd song.
Yeah, I just wish they'd do something new. I remember when Mission Impossible first came out, and it was revolution. There was a computer, and they were using the internet and emails. And in
Yeah.
1996, that was
Right.
still pretty far out there,
Yep.
revolutionary. I don't think I used an email till 1997.
Yeah, that's
Because
about
it
when I started.
it wasn't that common, and yet in the film it's like what's that thing he's doing? I mean, there was
Yeah.
no, where was the dial-up modem, where was the deafening screech of the dial-up modem to
Right.
make it fully authentic? It's my
Well,
only thought on that one.
they were already past it, my friend.
I
You
know.
know, Tom Cruise was doing something on a bullet train, but we don't exactly know what. I remember I watched that first one. I'm like, I don't even know what just happened. I got to go watch it again. And the masks, the crazy masks, maybe this character is that character. Who knows?
Who
Who
knows?
knows?
Who knows? I mean, they are good. We like the Mission Impossible. They're good. It's a good story. They're a good
Yes.
yarn. Tom Cruise, he's not a bad actor, is he? He does all right for himself.
No,
He's all
I would
right.
say he's a pretty good actor. I mean, I say it begrudgingly, but he's fun to watch. And
Yeah.
he still, I think, cares about what an old fashioned movie star is supposed to be and look like. So there you go.
Yeah, I would say in the few interviews I've seen of him, he really does care about the audience and how they're going to react to this scene. Is this sufficiently entertaining? Okay, well, let's make it more so. Let's turn that bit down. And I like the
Yeah.
fact that he very evidently makes films with the audience in mind, unlike the rest of Hollywood, who says, yes, let's take all the cartoons and just make it again.
Well, for the last Mission Impossible, and now we're deep in the weeds as we often get. Um, Whatever that one was called. I can't even remember the name of it. They did that motorcycle jump off a cliff, and he does all his own stunts.
Yes, he
And
does.
they did that jump 6 times. And he came to work the first day and said, "We're doing this scene first, because if I die, then you won't have to worry about making the rest of the movie." Um, there was another scene. This one's the craziest to me. Do you know what a halo jump is?
I actually
Skydiving?
really do, yeah.
Yeah, so halo stands for high altitude, low opening, and it's what military operatives do when they're trying to skydive into someplace sensitive. It's supposed to be, secretive. So typically when you skydive, I think you jump like from 6,000 to 10,000 feet, but a high altitude jump might be 30 or 40,000 feet. The flight, about the level you would be if you were on a jet commercial airplane. So they did a halo jump in one of the movies. He filmed it. They did the jump 106 times to get it right. 106 times. I'm like, wow. And apparently he's a skydiving freak. He's skydived
Yep.
like 10,000 times or some crazy number. So, sooner or later he's going to be on the news for the wrong reason, but he's defied it so far.
I've never met an action guy. All I know about people who do stunts is pretty much they have lots of broken bones.
They have lots
Hospital
of
is their
broken bones.
second home.
Yep.
Um, I'm sort of stunned that he hasn't arrived there yet.
Yep,
In a
me
wheelchair.
too.
But
Me too.
I mean, he's making some films which we want to watch. They're entertaining.
Yep.
The Halo thing. I mean, you're talking special forces. You're not like your regular parachute people. That's not
Right.
what they do. You're at the
No.
elite of the elite. Or Tom
Yeah.
Cruise.
Right. Exactly. Hanging off airplanes, holding your breath for 6 minutes underwater. He's crazy. He's crazy, but committed, and he makes good movies.
Yeah, for people to watch that he wants them to enjoy, which I love the passion, and it comes across through the movies.
It does. It does.
Right, I've definitely taken us somewhere. Where would you like to go next?
So we review music, and we reviewed an album this week from a Swedish metal band that has been best known for their links to Satanism. They're called Ghost. And when I hear metal and satanic, I have a certain thing in mind. I'm like, oh, we're going to be in Marilyn Manson territory or Slayer or heavy. I listened to this and I'm like, are you having me on? Is this album a joke? Is somebody somewhere laughing? Because it sounded for all the world like a cheesy pop metal album from 1986. And for me, that's a good thing because I like cheesy pop metal from 1986. But it felt like something that Weird Al Yankovic might have done, if you remember who he is. And yet I did some reading on it, and I mean the lyrics are just so over the top. And apart from one song, really not terrible, and asking some sort of existential questions. You know, there's a line that says, one day fate will find a way through the marches of death and right back to the bearer of light. And I'm like, well, I don't know what it means, but okay. You know, these sort of grandiose, epic, sweeping statements, and lots of guitar playing. But it debuted at #1 last week in the United States, and I thought, well, that's interesting because we've had nothing but rap and pop for a long, long time. This was the first metal album to hit #1 in the United States in 4 years. And again, as a rock guy, I'm like, all right, let's win one for the rock guys. Shame about the Satanism part, but whatever, right? And again, there's one song that maybe had some of those elements in it, but I won't say I was pleasantly surprised. I was oddly surprised. I thought, this is not what I thought this was going to be, which is actually exactly why we review what we review. We want to give you as objective an analysis as possible with music, TV, video games, movies, books, because sometimes what we hear and the story, you know, you read people's responses on social media. When we actually look at it, it's not what we expected. So that is why we exist here at Plugged In. There may not be anybody in your listening audience who's interested in Ghost, but if you are, check out my review at pluggedin.com.
Adam, as ever, thank you for taking us through all that, and we'll see what happens to those films. I liked the new version of The Lion King. I'll happily watch it again, but I definitely missed the humor whilst appreciating the excellence of the cinematography.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
But please, Hollywood, something new. Come on,
new.
We can do better. Right. Adam, thank you, sir.
You bet. We'll talk with you next week, Andy.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Here at Pure 24/7 Radio, we have had the privilege of speaking to some amazing people with amazing stories.
Now, what about, I thought I'd go a bit further, what about goat and sheep's milk? Becoming quite popular. Very similar to cow's milk. So we don't use it in the first year of life, you can afterwards. And their nutrient profiles, how good they are, is pretty similar to cow's milk. Allergenicity, how often do they cause allergies? About the same. They're a bit more expensive sometimes. It's pretty equivalent.
Yeah, we're really excited, especially excited for Josh because it's his first book and he's really passionate with that Gen. Do you say Gen Z or Gen Z? I've heard it said in
I don't know. I'm too old. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not in that age category, so we've not got a clue what they're called.
It's a pot boiler. It's a good, exciting popcorn thriller. I didn't think it was anything too special, but I think watching it at home, people will probably enjoy it more than I did going to the cinema to see it. Really good film.
I love it. You know, I walk into a cinema and I turn my phone off. Nobody can get hold of me for a couple of hours. I'm in a completely other world. You know, every single time I go to the cinema, and for me, it's like going to Holz. You know, it's like going to another world and escaping and relaxing, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
If you have missed any of these interviews or would like to hear them again, you can. Simply head over to our catch-up section at www.pure247radio.org. That's www.pure247radio.org.